Hi everybody, how are you doing? I'm doing okay. I'm going to share a link today. It's from Gnostic Informant. There was a really good conversation. I shared it in my community, but I'm going to put the link in here just in case people missed it. It got really interesting with a young Jewish man named Saul. After Rabbi Singer was on there, it was a challenge to Christians. Open debate, did Jesus fulfill scriptures? And the thing about it is, there was a couple things that weren't really addressed that I brought up. Tove kept saying that Noah wasn't a Jew, and then I'd put in Abraham wasn't a Jew, his sons were. Even Lot wasn't supposed to follow his father, and he did, and then God had to save them, and then he said it again, and I brought it up, and he was giving people the impression that Christians were copying Judaism, but they weren't doing it right. And I said, no, this is like an extrapolation. It's like people progress through life. And it's like my video yesterday, I was talking about how the people called Israel will receive their blessings when they repent. When you ask remorse for something, first you would have to see that there was something wrong with it. I mean, what you do with you yourself and nobody else is involved, that's one thing. But when it's out in the public eye and we do or say things with the intent of persuading other people in ways that could harm them, then we've taken that upon ourselves, where there is ramifications for things that we do in this world. And people don't want to admit that, but Rabbi Singer did not address that fact when I kept saying Abraham was not a Jew. And God made the promise between Abraham and all his seeds that would inherit the earth. That's all of us. And the root of our descendants. So I pointed it out to Rabbi Singer that, they look at us as cousins, if even that. Even though we actually are, it depends whether they're Khazarian or what I would call south of the Caucasus type of Israelite, or if they were maybe Turkish, and then furthermore, like I pointed out, I was raised by a migrate. That kind of got them that I didn't say migrant or immigrant, no, because he was a Minneapolis Jew that was a migrate. In order for me to call somebody an immigrant, the people that own the country would have had to have approved of that to begin with. So I'll stick with what I said, and it wasn't a mistake. So anyway, I had not an altercation, but there's a teen I know that has mentally emotional problems, that is getting involved in same-sex relationships without any understanding of the illness to one's body, taking on two things, the spirit of another human being through their DNA and the contact with us that does never leave us. So it's physical and spiritual. And it's like too much of the same thing throws our bodies off kilter. There's a reason why in the scriptures the missionary position between a husband and a wife and that union between you and God and your spouse is the approval of any sexual activity in the eyes of God. And anything else we do, there's, for being deviant in any way from what is actually natural, not out of the norm, which they're trying to normalize, but they're not giving people the health science behind the whole thing. And that's what I call like spin doctors, to spin something a different way. And it would take mental health care professionals and doctors with degrees and these type of people to push non-approving science that doesn't prove itself to be substantial, but the people don't know. So if the people don't know the physiology behind these things that can do us damage, they're doing people a disservice. That's my biggest thing out here. But today I was confronted with a confused teenager, and I know she is. She's my blood. Of course I know her, and I know how she was attacked and why, you know. People that are in same-sex relationships don't understand how your soul is being quieted and used by the dark force, because it has been. And it instills in people a sympathy for that you otherwise wouldn't have. It's like if I had a friend that was a thief and I wasn't approving of that, but then I became a thief too, then I would see how my fellow thief had fallen, and I would give approval to that situation. Of course, anybody can pull themselves out of anything, but we would have to see that we had done something to begin with. That could be a grievance towards another human being. Take, for instance, a confused teenager. Would you want to be responsible for somebody changing their gender and then finding out later in life that it might not have been the best route for them to take, physically and mentally, emotionally? That we can tell people, yeah, we love them for who they are. If they were a man with more feminine thoughts, is that really a feminine thought? Or is it being a gentleman? I used to do drywall. I wasn't a man. I'd braid my hair down the back so it didn't get in the way while I was working, but I was clearly a woman. There's things that I could do on the job. I owned my own business as a contractor, but there was things I could do that the men couldn't do, and vice versa. So, anyway, there's a lot of stuff going around out here now, how women are so disadvantaged. Psst, that's some bullshit. It depends on who you are and who you know in every walk of life, But it's just another one of their ploys, They should write a song how downgraded women are, like we always haven't been in some way. that is a big thing too, that the guidance of men that isn't given with a clean soul, and then you go off the course because it wasn't done properly, if you got what I meant. Like a preacher that does not know what they're talking about, or a rabbi that knows full well what he's saying, but isn't telling the absolute truth. That type, But if dishonesty is passable in your culture, then by all means, you do you. That's one thing we have here is free will. I shared some very offensive Eminem songs that would be offensive to people if they didn't know my soul. You can run with it. I have a reason why I shared it too, and that's for my relative that is being under attack right now. Does she think that I would ever harm her? What do you think? There's a reason for everything I do, whether people see that anyway. And if I lost anybody on here because of anything I've shared or said, and things are from my heart, and there is no hatred involved, unless you're a part of the dark cabal and you would actually harm children in any way, we don't have a problem, and we never will. If you're on the other side of the coin, I do hate you. Oh, hate what they're doing and not the person. No, I hate people that harm and genocide other people. And hate you. So, anyway. If God wants to put something else in my heart for that, the darkness of it all and actual murder of other human beings, it would be there, or it will get in there. I asked for his guidance on, does he want me to say hate? Well, people should look up. I mean, if you believe in Jesus Christ, look at like the man God hated. Look that up, for instance, or the times that Christ actually cursed and cussed at people. He told one woman to go down by his feet and eat with the dogs. The dogs referring to politicians and rabbi and dark priests that were against all human life. So I mean, there's some really radical stuff in the scriptures if you know what you're reading. Pink Floyd has got a album called Animals that is very interesting. I think it came out in 1975. It's not one of my favorite albums that they have, but yeah. Mine will always be Dark Side of the Moon, but I do like The Wall. So. Leave those kids alone. Anyway, the whole album's good. I like the album Wish You Were Here too. I play that. I've got that in my videos somewhere. If you look up Wish You Were Here, I am playing it on my guitar and singing it. That's one of my favorites. I was thinking for 007, we don't have to sing karaoke, my friend. If singing comes up naturally to us when we're chatting, which will be sometime next week, and I will get a hold of you soon here, that's one thing. But to make somebody so talented as you sing on karaoke, that's probably not your thing. I wouldn't think it would be. I saw one of your guests on your show, that Israel man, do that, and I don't know his name. I didn't catch it. Or if you said it, I just didn't understand what his name was, or his channel. But I think you have him on every Friday. A couple different times I've watched, and he was singing karaoke. I think that's his thing. I've got some karaoke songs that I did too. I did get a strike. I stopped doing that because I was turning the camera around where people could see the words with me and we could sing karaoke together, but they gave me a strike on it. It's like, okay, why? You know, if it's a karaoke song, I got it off YouTube. I'm singing karaoke, but I shared it, so my bad. You know, funny thing, that my bad thing, Doug said it one time when my little kids were little, and then I heard it all over the place after that. It was really weird. Right about the time the show Breaking Bad came out. Yeah. The two Eminem songs I shared, one was Amityville. Mentally ill in Amityville accidentally killed his family still. And if you listen to the lyrics, you'll understand how he killed his family. It has nothing to do with guns or anything else. And then Criminal. Love that song. Just the last line says it all too. I just keep moving. Don't take shit from no one, you know. So anyway, that's why I like it. And besides that, I used to play those songs at somebody that was trying to torture me. And I started playing a lot of Eminem, a lot of Metallica, like King Nothing. That's devastating when somebody's trying to control your life and you play a song, "Where's your crown, King Nothing," you know? Your crown isn't your hair or your head. It's actually your connection between God and you. That's everything lights up like stars in your head when you're functioning in full form. And it comes from everywhere, not just your heart or your third eye or your blood or whatever. You feel it all. That's what being whole is, whether people think I'm whole or not. That's, you know, your discretion. You know, back to the not getting answered about Abraham. That's a pretty important thing. So, are we even certain Moses was a Jew? Well, no. Moses was not one person individually. It was the town of Moses, the people of Moses. There was several different tribes of Israelites that went out of Egypt in 3 different directions. Some went into the Middle East, others went into the Mediterranean. Some stayed in Egypt, some went up into like Romania and off from there in all directions. Right up into Norway, I mean, over into China, I mean, everywhere, everywhere. How do you pinpoint a people that migrated all around the world, but yet kept base in one central area to conquer the whole world with their thoughts and their religion and their control over other people's? No, sorry, overlord, and this is what I said in this chat, overlord of the land, your land. I'm native to my land. I don't give a hoot about your promised land. We all have our promised lands, and the land I live in, the people that own this land aren't being honored for who they are. So I don't really give a lot of credence to anybody else's boo-hoos when 100 million natives in my country were genocided and are still being ignored. So, yeah. It's disgusting. Not to be answered or to be taken serious. And then this young Jewish man that got on there after, and they were asking him where he got his information. And yeah, it was a combination of texts like the Zohar and the Talmud and um, uh, the Torah and Revelation. And I mean, this young person was really well read and knew things I knew, and was talking to Rabbi Singer, like, okay, what about this or that? Bringing an awareness of the progression of understanding of God within different religions. It isn't seclusive. Everybody's a different culture, and they have different ways of understanding, and how God would talk to you may not be the same way God talks to me. It's like I watched a really cool movie last night. I'll tell you what it is in a moment here. I'm going to copy a link address first. It was, let me see, an older movie I had seen before. Bird of Paradise. If you look that up, it's considered a sci-fi movie. But the thing that's really cool about it, it shows Polynesian people, and it was filmed over on the Hawaiian Islands, and their dances and their music is so beautiful. If you've ever heard the harmony of the Hawaiian people, totally incredible. So beautiful. So, yeah, look it up. It's really cool. I mean, the movie itself is a little hokey, but the premise of the whole thing and some of the beliefs and culture of the people there. Some things I don't necessarily agree with, but that's who they. I even have some Polynesian in me, but I still, or just like different bloods that I have in me. That doesn't mean that I agree with those people just because of that, and I don't, you know. What, just because I have like English or Irish, Scot, Danish, Dutch, all kinds of things, um, would I patronize a bloodline for their beliefs? What if I felt in my heart and soul? What if somebody came to me and proved something a little different than what I had been taught, or brought another understanding into something? And that is what was going on yesterday in that conversation with Rabbi Singer. It was really cool. Now, I can't say I've ever liked Tove Singer as a human being, as a likable human being, but last night I actually had some moments of, hey, you could actually be likable. If you want to teach people things that you may see that they don't, there's other ways to do it than the ways that have been done in the past that haven't worked, that type of thing. There's other ways, And some of us know what those ways are, and we're speaking them into existence, Excuse me. Oop. I just moved my laptop. Sorry about that. I do have OCD. Things have to be just right. I was talking to a lady this morning that has post-traumatic stress disorder. I used to have that horribly, horribly bad. That is what brought on, a lot of it could be from, like, some people are like wars or even life itself nowadays, our environment, people we're around. Yeah, life can be pretty horrible for a lot of people, and yes, it is distressing. It's something that you can overcome it. But my OCD did stem from lack of, not self-control, but lack of control of things that I could not control outside of myself. And I would come up with these simple little cues in my life. It's like I have dyslexia, so I would have to give myself brain cues to overcome that and be able to read or that type of thing, so we can give ourselves mental cues to help ourselves through life, If you go to get mad at me, just know that there's a dark force wanting you to go that direction, Anyway, just letting you know, because you wouldn't find a more honest, loving friend. Nobody could. Not on this planet. There's ones that can say whatever they want to say, but it doesn't make it true. I know people that'll say, I love you, love you, love you. You cut yourself open and they're sitting there screaming. They're not worried about plugging up your hole to fix you. They're just spewing their shit to make money. It's all most people care about. But I would be the first one there. If you were getting hurt, I'd be the first one there. It's a fact. I was listening to somebody who had had a friend intervene on her getting beat to a pulp and tried to stop that from happening. And then she jumped on him too. Well, I've intervened in situations like that. And yeah, some people, I think they're just as filthy as the person that's beating them, because if they wouldn't accept, or if they would defend their abuser, they also have deep-rooted mental problems. There's no doubt. Because last thing you want to do in life is defend somebody or something that's going to harm you, no matter what. We have to reach into our inner selves and be honest about the whole thing, like Abraham, for instance, So does that mean that all the rest of us out on this planet inherit the Holy Land? Of course we do. It isn't exclusive to one tribe. It's all the tribes of Israel. That's an awful lot of people that are welcome into that Holy Land, regardless. That's the part they don't want you to know. That's why they have to try and diminish and dirty the spirituality out of the New Testament and point how they feel, or something that was added, like there was a verse in Luke. No, that was not added. There was other things that were taken out and I've studied this big time, I know what I'm talking about. If you think that something came before that, that's why it looks out of place, because what was before that was cut out to make it look ridiculous, and that's a fact. We have to read the scriptures with our heart. If you don't know language, read it with your heart and soul, and you'll get the meaning. The whole thing's like a parable. It's a book of good and bad, all within the whole thing. I mean, the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, so to speak, is the lineage of the Israelites, basically. And a lot of those stories are just stories also. And that's been proven. If you want proof, you go to somebody that with chronological order in the progression of the peoples would be Jason from Archaics. If you're brave enough to be honest for yourself and everybody else on the planet, there's the guy to go to. You know? So he doesn't call God God. He knows there's something out of this construct he calls the oversoul, with all due respect, although he believes in Christ on this level of existence and he has God in his heart. It's not a doubt. You don't have to have Judaism or Zionism or be Islamic or Muslim or anything else to have God in your heart. God's not going to ask you what religion you served when he's asking you for worship. Not worship, but worship. So, okay, before I get too snotty here, I'm going to let you go. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. I hope you either watch that Hawaiian show, Bird of Paradise, or you will enjoy the conversation between Rabbi and people that are even agnostic. They don't really believe anything, but there were some really wise scholars on that panel throughout there. It's like over about 4 hours, something like that. But just even in the beginning, you can hear what I'm talking about when he tries to diminish. And the Zionist churches, like I said on there too, Christ can't be found in the church. It says so right in the scriptures. So when Tovia says stuff like that, he's talking out of his hat because he doesn't know the actual church of God is not in a house or a temple or, God forbid, a synagogue. So, all right, everybody. Have a really good night or day wherever you're at. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA.